Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome into Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services out of the metropolis of Eastland, Texas, otherwise known as Middle of Nowhere, Texas. Well, it may be the middle of nowhere, Texas, but out of the middle of nowhere, Texas, we do talk about great big things. One of those being one of the most important things, living life on purpose. In fact, that's our tagline, helping people live life on purpose. Yes, we are a wealth management firm. Yes, we are a planning firm that assists with taxes and business succession and insurance and estate planning and all of these things that are financially interwound and important yet tedious and drive us insane sometimes. But none of that really matters if you're not making it the goal to live life on purpose and have that stuff working for you. And we've talked about that so many times. So I want to share a story with you to start out with today. And I say it's a story. I guess it is a story. It is a story because it is an obituary. So it's a story of someone's life. And I have a reason for wanting to share this obituary. So you're not going to want to miss that either. But I think it's really important to, just stop and reflect sometimes on other people's lives because it helps us give insight into our own. So here is Pat Stocks, 94 years old, passed away way back in 2015. Feels like a millennial ago, anything pre-COVID. And this was published in the Toronto Star on July 18th of that year. Pat Stocks, 94, passed away peacefully at her home in her bed, July 1st, 2015. It is believed it was caused from carrying her oxygen tank up a long flight of stairs to her bedroom that made her heart give out. She left behind a hell of a lot of stuff to her daughter and sons, and we have no idea what to do with it. Yes, we are reading the obituary, by the way. So, if you're looking for two extremely large TVs from the 90s, a large ceramic stork, we think, in quotations, umbrella/cane stand, a toaster oven, slightly used, in quotations, or even a 2001 Oldsmobile with a spoiler, she loved putting the pedal to the metal, in quotations, with only 71,000 kilometers and 1,000 tools that we aren't sure what they're used for. You should wait the appropriate amount of time and get in touch. Tomorrow would be fine. This is not an ad for a pawn shop, but an obituary for a great woman, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother born on May 12, 1921 in Toronto. The daughter of the late Pop Alexander C. and Granny Annie Nye Morris. She leaves behind a very dysfunctional family that she was very proud of. Pat was a world renowned for her lack of patience, not holding back her opinion, and a knack for telling it like it is. She always told you the truth, even if it wasn't what you wanted to hear. It was a school of hard knocks, and yes, we were told many times how she had to walk for miles in a blizzard to get to school, so suck it up. With that said, she was genuine to a fault, a pussycat at heart, or lion, in quotations, and yet she sugarcoated nothing. Her extensive vocabulary is more than highly proficient and knowing more curse words than most people learned in a lifetime. She liked four-letter words as much as she loved her rock garden, and trust us, she loved to weed that garden with us as her helpers, when child labor was legal, or so we were told. These words of encouragement, wisdom, and sometimes comfort kept us in line, taught us the school of hard knocks, and gave us something to pass down to our children. Everyone always knew where you stood with her. She liked you or she didn't. It was black or white. As her children, we are still trying to figure out which one it was for us. We know she loved us, in quotations. She was a master cook in the kitchen. She believed in overcooking everything until it chewed like rubber. So you would never get sick because all the germs were nuked. Freezing germs also worked. So by Friday, our school sandwiches were hard and chewy, but totally germ-free. All four of us learned to use a napkin. You would pretend to cough, spit the food into it, and thus was born the Stocks diet. If anyone would like a copy of her homemade gravy recipe, we suggest you don't. She will be sorely missed and survived by her brother, George Morris, children, and she was preceded in death by her husband, Paul, and her eldest daughter, and her beloved pets, Tag, and Tag, all of whom were loved dearly and will never forget her tenacity, wit, charm, grace, when pertinent, and underlying love and care for them. Please give generously to the Coventry House of Toronto in memory. A private family celebration of life will be held in lieu of a service due to her friends not being able to attend because they decided to beat her to the pearly gates. And please note the change of address. Wow. Great obituary. Absolutely great obituary. So, yes, I get it. It's an obituary. You're sitting there thinking, what in the world does this have to do with me? And how am I supposed to have some reflection through that? Well, you ever went in the bathroom in the morning and you looked in the mirror and you thought to yourself, you're like, that can't be right. Who is that person? What's going on with that face? Yeah, well, as funny as that may be, or maybe not so funny, the fact is that life is short. And that obituary, even at 94, can come really fast. And the older we get, the faster things go. We were actually having this conversation the other day, about how when you're raising your kids, you get all this time with them and all of a sudden they're in high school and there's only 4 years. It's only 4 years, and 4 years is like a year compared to what it used to be. It's amazing how fast things go. We look up, our kids are grown, we look up, we have grandkids, we look up, and it's hard to get up, right? So, I think it's important that we ask ourselves a question. And the earlier we ask ourselves this question, the better off we're going to be. And that is, what do you want your story to be? What's your obituary look like? What do you want your story to be? Are you living it right now? When we come back on Life Planning 101, yes, we are helping people live life on purpose today. You're not going to want to miss it. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in the big thriving town of Eastland, Texas, where we help people live life on purpose. And I tell you what, if you missed the first segment of the show, you might want to go back and listen to it. We listened to an obituary. That sounds motivating, doesn't it? But so true of being able to use things like that to reflect on our own lives. And I don't know, have you ever been to a funeral and you've done that? You look at someone's life and you think, oh my goodness, they've lived such a wonderful life. They've done amazing things. What an amazing person. And you walk out there aspiring to be better. And there's really some reflection in that. So yes, go back, listen to the obituary, because I'm asking you a question today. What do you want your story to be? And we talked about, have you ever walked in the bathroom and you looked in the mirror and you go, oh, that can't be right. Who's that person, right? And it seems so funny, but it's really maybe not so funny, because that happens to us a lot in life. We look up and all of a sudden our kids are grown, or our grandkids are already grown. And then we look up and we can't really get up out of our chair, and it takes some work. So, you would think that when you start to feel those emotions, most people heed that, right? And you think, okay, time is marching on. I need to have some wisdom here. I need to stop and and reflect and really ask myself, am I living out my story? And I would say that most of us don't. We look in the mirror and we ignore it and we just keep going. We keep staying busy. We keep our heads down and our nose to the grindstone, so to speak. We keep scrolling, whatever it is. And the question is when you're doing that, are you living your life on purpose? We talk about helping people live life on purpose as a firm. That is our tagline. And, our job is to help take away the stress of the financial aspects of life. Everything from your estate, your legal documents, to planning a succession in your business, addressing all those nasty what ifs of things turning south in life with death, disability, and someone passing away, someone getting sick for a long term, having a plan for your retirement, dealing with all these nuances of the tax code and knowing what to do in different economies. And there's just so much information out there, and especially during these times, I think a lot of people, they are in overload and they're kind of just paralyzed with what to do, or they think, well, this has worked before, I'll just keep doing this. And that's not always the answer either. And in fact, sometimes that's what can get you hurt. And so what we try to do is remove all that stress from that, all that, being able to empower you with information, education to help you align what you're trying to do with your life with everything else and make sure that you're moving in the right direction. But that doesn't answer the question about your life, right? Because you need to know, are you living the story out the way you want to be? And I would challenge you to do this, okay? I would challenge you to sit there and imagine yourself and your favorite spot in the entire world. Maybe that's in a boat on a pond or a lake. Maybe that's up in the mountains where you can't hear anything and it's so quiet because the snow's falling. Maybe that's sitting outside and listening to the kids run and play. Maybe that's being on your horse in the roping arena. Maybe that's just sitting by your horse while he's eating his grain. That's probably one of mine. I want you to get yourself there mentally. And I want you to imagine that you're in your last days of your life, sitting there in that spot, that favorite spot. And you're looking back at your story. What do you want that story to be? Now, I get it. This is a podcast. And I can't sit here on pause for that long. ... So, if you haven't already, write that down. Put yourself in a place, your favorite spot in the world, and ask yourself, if you're looking back at your life, what do you want your story to be? And I want you to spend some time with that. And then I want you to ask another question. And this one, I'm just going to prepare you. Might hit you square between the eyes. Are you living that story today? I don't want you to go, well, because I can do it too, right? We can all do it. We're busy. Things are going on. Heck, I know what it's like. We're in a huge transition. We actually just sold one place. We got one place up and running. We're trying to change offices, remodel, do all kinds. There is so much going on. And that doesn't even add, the personal life of just life being life and kids and everything that we do to support our families. And then we want to have our friendships and then we want to do these other things, right? I get it. That wasn't my question. The question is simple. If you define what your story should be, the question is, are you living that story today? And you could define that as yes or no. I would encourage you to do that. I think that's really where the truth is. But you could also say to yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's that story, right? How does that look? And how am I living that story? Am I living it on a 10? Am I living on a 9? Am I living on a 7? What areas of life do I need to work in? And in fact, we have a good tool, and I totally even forgot about this for the show, but if you go on to our website at www.kennedy-financial.com, there is a tool in our toolbox, or our library there, and it's called Life Scorecard. And it's a pretty cool tool, kind of aligns with this, and it breaks down the different areas of life, and it helps you score each of those areas of your life, helps you kind of make notes on what you would want to do to improve that. And so you could be working in that direction. And that might be a great way. We score everything in life, and sometimes that's a little bit easier than just saying yes or no. And it gives some real proof to this. So depending on what kind of effort you want to put into living life on purpose, if that's important to you, you might want to take that effort and do that. Okay, that was a little jab, but it's true, right? We spend so much time scrolling. Could you have been using that time to work on living life on purpose, working on yourself? We have to really stare at things in the face right now, where we're spending our time and our efforts. And so if you're not living that story today of what you want it to be, how can you change course? When we come back on Life Planning 101, we're going to give you another tool to try to help you live life on purpose so we can do our job and help it align with it. Welcome back into Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. We are helping people live life on purpose and asking you a very important question today. What do you want your story to be? And are you living out that story today? And if you're not, how do you need to change course? Because here's the truth. Most of us get one shot to raise our kids. Most of us get one shot at enjoying our grandkids when they're young. Most of us get one retirement. And we only have our health while we have it. Life is short. It's too short to go through just the motions of living and living by default. Think about it. We are designed with the calling. And everybody knows that listens to Life Planning 101. I am a woman of faith. But I truly believe we are designed with a calling. We are designed to love and to be loved. And we are designed to have a purpose, not just simply to keep our heads down, keep our nose to the grindstone, keep scrolling, keep staying busy so we wake up and everything happened by default. I don't believe that's why we're here at all. So you have to ask yourself and live with purpose. What do you want that story to be? So years ago, I was in a study group and we went through the exercise of writing an obituary for yourself. I wrote my own obituary. And yes, I started the show with an obituary that was quite entertaining, but there's some truth and some reflection that we can find in anyone else's obituary if we truly are searching for it. And when I wrote my own, it was eye-opening. It showed me things about myself I certainly didn't like. It showed me areas that I considered, I really thought I considered a priority and very important, but I wasn't prioritizing in my life. And it gave me clarity of how I needed to be living. So I want to encourage you to not only, we went through an exercise, if you missed that in the second segment of the show, go back and listen. Not only do that exercise, but this is another one to kind of follow up on that. Or maybe to do that first, right? Is to see what you learn about yourself by writing your own obituary. And my bet is there's going to be things that you will want to do differently to write the story that you really want for yourself. So I want to end with sharing a little poem that I've heard years ago, and you may have heard this too, but I'm going to ask you to stop and kind of reflect on it because I think it's a perfect consideration for what it means to live life on purpose. And the poem is called The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted, first came the date of birth and spoke the following dates with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent life on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not much what we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way other people feel, be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Very powerful. If you need some motivation here, just remember, go look in the mirror. That can't be right? What do you want your story to be? Time is not on your side, okay? You better start living the story you want, or you never will get the chance. So, God bless you. Carpe diem, and start living life on purpose. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group. God bless you, and join us right here next week on Life Planning 101.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.